I was going to, well, there was a significant occurrence in, between you and God in the past few months that occurred that was, you're getting ready to,
No.
to share about.
Yeah. Well, many of you know when it comes to fundraising, and I have been very reticent to do any kind of fundraising for the work we do, and Lord has provided. We have been, we've been in a good position, steady position, for 3 years. We've had some times I held my breath, but the Lord always came through, and so that's kind of been the way we've gone. Although there's, let's just say that our opportunities are exceeding our resources for really these days, and so and I have not actively thought about it, but I had a dream. I don't know, 2 months ago maybe. Just out of the blue, I had a dream, and in the dream, I mean, if I felt like the Lord gave a very specific strategy to raise support for the Metron and for the work we're doing. And again, I've always said I'm never going to. I've not felt the release or the freedom to go and like ask individuals or do the things fundraising missionaries do. Not because I think there's anything wrong with it. I just never felt the release to do it. And at one point, the Lord kind of prompted me and said, when I was whining about that, praying from whining. There's a very thin line there sometimes. So, but I was in that place of praying about it, and I kind of said, Lord, why can't I just go like raise funds, go ask people to support this ministry? And at that moment, and this is over 2 years ago, I just felt it real firm, because if you do it that way, you'll think you're your own provider. And at that particular point, I think he was absolutely correct. And
but that's something he told us.
But that was just for us; it's not for anybody else. But over the last couple of years, I think we've both grown quite a bit in that area of just trusting the Lord and seeing His hand move and these things. And so I was a little surprised. I hadn't really been thinking about it, but when I had the dream, it was specific enough, and it had some specific elements to it that made me think, Lord, are you doing something? Or was this something that you're asking me to do? And so I've gone forward as if that is the case. And I'm going to post up on the screen just a little bit of the strategy, the what I saw in the dream. And all it is that I saw in the vision I'm working off of. It felt like a web page setup, but it was just that there were 6 tiers of monthly supporters, and it was like saying, I felt the Lord was saying, you go and give 6 levels of monthly support options, and you're going to go ask for one $1,000 a month giver, 2 $500 a month givers, 4 $250 a month givers, 5 $200 a month givers, 10 $100 a month givers, and 20 $50 a month givers. And I saw it laid out on a grid, and it was like a push button, and each person would see there's 3 $200 a month spots still open, and they would select it. And well, I haven't figured out the technology to make all that happen, but I have figured out the technology to make a tier-based option for giving, and then I'll just have to keep it updated manually on where we are and some of that process goal-wise. But anyway, that image and that stuck with me. It's been something I've gone back and forth with Marie and with some counsel, with some friends, and just with the Lord on that. And I think that we're going to initiate that on Giving Tuesday, which again was part of the dream. Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday following Black Friday weekend. And
What is Giving Tuesday?
Giving Tuesday is a national day. It's that they've been doing for a few years. Even at the church, we had opportunities and different things to kind of just simply leverage the idea that a lot of nonprofits use that day to kind of roll out a campaign of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always, again, kind of been reticent to do that. But in this case, I felt like there was a prompting that I'm going to go ahead and launch on Giving Tuesday. I intend to launch this grid tiered based invitation for people to contribute monthly to the work that we're doing. And I just want to say again, um, I'm more confident than at any point since we've been doing this that it is God's work, that He is in it. It's not something we thought of. It's not something I would have imagined. And the way it has actually developed is so different than what I would have created anyway. But the word that continuously comes to us is that it is the impact is clear and obvious, that it is making a difference. And I can just say we've had that affirmation coming from just coming from many different areas. So I'm more convinced than ever this is God's word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more convinced than ever that He is going to take care of it, and He's going to provide for everything that's required. But He does use you. He uses people like you and me to accomplish that. And so I'm going to be sending out to most of the people in our list. We're going to send out opportunity to select a giving tier that you believe the Lord is encouraging you to step into to support the work that we're doing. And as I said, our opportunities are exceeding our resources. We're doing well, but we actually have had to say no to a few things, opportunities that are coming up, particularly internationally. Just we haven't had the surplus to be able to step in and to say yes to some of these. Many of them, well, our policy has been generally somebody outside another church or something underwrites most of our international trips, although we've had a few that I would have liked to have done that were not underwritten, and Metron was not at a place that we could do it. And so I'm really asking the Lord for this support level to be able to step into some areas that we see that we haven't been able to go into yet. So,
well, you always look for God's nudges, God's fingerprints, His timing, and everything. So at the end of last year, we had a word given to us that the coming year, which would have been this year, 2024, that God was going to double
the
influence and impact. And that's about what it's worked out to. We've been dumbfounded at the places He sent us, the number of places, the connection that has doubled. And somebody came again to us within the last month and said, I just feel like God's saying next year the influence and impact is going to increase again. And you and I looked at each other at that point and went, oh my God, I don't know if I've got the energy for it. And it was right about the time you got the dream.
Yeah, it was.
It was right about the time you got the dream of God showing you this strategy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you historically, Duke, throughout his adult life, when he was working outside of the church in his secular job, would get these dreams every once in a while for solutions that were so outside the box in the context of his work thing that people are like, that's not going to work. And he would say, no, I got it in a dream, and get the specifics. He'd implement it and it would work. And those were God dreams. And when he shared this dream with me, he was like, I'm not sure that was God or not. And I was like, what? That was so God, because you wouldn't normally, you do not come to the table. And then paired with the timing from this person's coming to us and saying, hey, I feel like I heard this from God. It's like, okay, this is God resourcing. He always pays for what he ordains. And so that's why we're bringing it to the table. We wouldn't have done this otherwise.
And I'll say this too. We have monthly supporters now, and I'm likely not going to send this to you. You're already supporting us, and we're so grateful. You're the only reason, I mean, other than the hand of God, but you're the reason this has been able to go the way it has for the last 3 years. And so I'm super grateful, but I'm also excited about the possibilities of having more resource available to do the things that we're seeing the Lord put out there. I think the international stuff, there's so much opportunity to go do some of the things we do are very desperately desired. We just talking to one of the leaders in Kenya who's begging us to come to Kenya next year and teach his teams to do some of the healing model, and particularly some of the emotional healing things that we've done. And those are the kind of opportunities that are always out there, and they just continue to increase. So very excited about the possibility of being able to say yes to some things that we haven't necessarily been able to. We've been able to say yes to most things. But just the churches that we go to, the churches that invite us and we visit, just frankly, many of them can't afford to even pay our expenses to come. So we've done some of those purely out of the Metron's budget, just for the expenses to even go to a church. And that's not normal. Most churches cover the expenses of our visits, but even some cannot, and we don't want to back off of that. I don't want that to become a reason that we ever say no. And so you're the reason that we're able to go, and we're so grateful for it. And so and if anybody has any maybe advice on how to roll this out, I'm learning. This is not something I've done before.